Hey, this is Slammerama from GamingDrunk.com, bringing you a video on Diablo 3, and this one's going to be talking about the Demon Hunter. It was my first character that I created, and I'm at level 60 finally with it, and it's really fun to play, kind of tough in that it's, as I call it, a glass cannon. You die easily if you're not playing it well, especially in later stages, and that's kind of why I'm making this video. I think a couple people have builds out there, and this is just going to be my personal build. If you don't like it, that's fine, or if you want to take just certain items from it, what I'm going to do is just try and explain why I use what I use. It kind of helps me survive. I've actually survived a lot of encounters where I shouldn't have, like just running away, which is kind of what you have to do. It's like, people can call it kiting or doing some other stuff, but it's really, to quote, being a bitch. You know, you have to drop down your damage as quickly as possible, run away, get away, drop your aggro, do the damage again, and repeat. Like, it's very simple, but it's hard to kind of do later on if they're walling you. Certain, champion packs can wall you and things of that nature, but so far this build has been working for me, and I've just been using it for the last week, and I haven't died a lot, so that's a good sign for a Demon Hunter. So let's get right into it. Alright, let's go over the passive skills that I use first, and this one's probably a guaranteed for all, I would hope, is steady aim. If you're a Demon Hunter and if you have a lot of people near you, you're playing it wrong, at least in my eyes. And that's why I love steady aim. Literally, if no one's near you, if you get away, you get a damage increase of 20%. That's huge, especially if you do a crit. That's a crit plus 20%. That definitely starts stacking later. I really don't even think I should talk about this anymore, because if you're not using this, you're probably going to run into issues. And if you don't agree with this, maybe you should probably not watch this video, because this is something I depend on with my Demon Hunter. So if you don't like steady aim, leave a comment if you could explain it to me why it's not a good, the one passive skill that you can't debate. But go ahead and leave a comment if you think otherwise. The next passive skill I would have to use is probably Archery, just because, again, of the increased damage of using a bow, crossbow. That critical hit damage goes up a lot. That's why I actually prefer now using the crossbows, the two-handed crossbows or the hand crossbows, depending on what you want to do. If you want to do a dual crossbow, you got to use the dual hand crossbows, which is actually not a bad idea. Later on, I think the quiver might help out a bit in survivability, but you can't knock the dual hand crossbows, and I'm not here to knock any equipment because currently my equipment sucks. That's a whole nother video though. But again, this one can be debated. There's a couple other ones that you could use that might help you as well, but for me, Archery definitely helps out, especially with the increased critical hit damage. And I'm going to explain a little bit later with my next passive skill why this actually transfers really well into my next passive skill. Now, if you're paying attention, you could probably guess where I was going with this. Going from Archery to Sharpshooter. If you're using a two-handed crossbow, this is almost a guarantee. If you're using Archery, use Sharpshooter when you get it. Reason being, you're going to be doing a lot more critical hits if you have Sharpshooter. Every second you gain 3%. That means you're walking around Diablo, you're gaining a critical hit chance while you're just walking around. And there's plenty of times, unfortunately, in Diablo 3 where you're doing that. You're just walking around trying to find the right portal, you go to the wrong direction, it happens. But now you know, if you come up against another pack, like a champion pack or something like that, you know that your next attack is going to be a crit. That means use your highest damage dealing, attack, send it on its way. Now you have a critical hit plus 50%, plus because no one's around you, you get another 20%. Or actually, I believe it would be 20% using the first skill, passive skill. So yeah, that kind of helps. Especially against champion packs later on. But again, that's up for debate. Some people use like Call of the Week if they use a lot of slow dealing damage. Like if they use those, I can't remember what it's called, but the chains that actually can tie them down. There's different things you can do. Like Call of the Week, I think it's 15% if they're slowed. So it's up to debate. There's only one passive skill, like I mentioned before, that I don't think is debatable. But this is what I've been working with, and it's been working out pretty well for me in the last week or so. Alright, let's go over your active skills, at least the ones I use. These are for your mouse, so this would be my left mouse click, which generates a hatred for me, which is Bullet Shot. Simply put, I like area of effect attacks, and Bullet Shot is that. Even though it takes a little bit of time for the damage to register, 1 second normally with Imminent Doom, which I love, takes 2 seconds, but again with the kiting strategy or aka running like a bitch strategy, you're not really worried about that delay because you're getting away anyways, you're running away. So plus because it's hitting that not just one enemy but multiple enemies within 7 yards. And if you play Diablo 3, you should notice that a lot of your packs are clustered together. It definitely helps. You're not just hitting one, you're hitting multiple. And even though there is a delay, that 182% weapon damage is huge later on. So that's what I recommend to generate your hatred. The Bullet Shot really works out well. And you can actually get a quiver with 8 to 10% extra damage. That's probably a good idea. That's what I was talking about earlier with equipment, that maybe a quiver later on might help. But I think even some of the hand crossbows also do it. But right now, I just love the critical hit damage that you get with a two-handed crossbow. So that's kind of my opinion on it. But again, this is my left mouse click, is Bullet Shot. And for my right mouse click, simply put, I love elemental arrows. They can do area of effect because they go through people. I use Nether Tentacles now. That's just because I love that it deals pretty good weapon damage. Doesn't cost a lot of hatred, so you can just spam this. It's slow, but it gives you health back, which is huge. So if you do a critical hit with this, you get all that health back. 3% of that critical hit goes back to you. Again, 50% plus 20% with the passive skills. And again, not a lot of hatred, so you can just spam this if you're getting kind of low in health. And there's also another active skill that I'm going to show you later that will help with your life regen. But this I do like. I've used the, oh god, I'm going to murder this name, the chakrams? Whatever they're called, the disc of pretty much it reminds me of the old, what was it, the Paladin or whatever the heck it was in Diablo 2, the Hammered In. But anyways, this is what I normally use now, and this is what I've used before. Again, elemental arrows were my favorite all the way up, with Screaming Skull. And actually, sometimes I still go back to this because I like the idea that, again, with that running strategy, the keep running back and getting more damage and then running again, that you could fear them. And then you can run them into traps you set, or just run them away from you, fear them so they get away from you so you can actually do something. You can get away or heal up or something of that nature. And it still does that 155%. Plus, it says 40%. It's pretty much every other one. And actually, sometimes I do it on every hit, which is weird. And maybe I'm just lucky recently. But it does help you survive. And really, Diablo 3 is about dealing damage and surviving. So, especially for a Demon Hunter, that surviving part is a huge question mark sometimes. But this will definitely help you in the end. Either one of these is good to use, and I go interchange them all the time. A question a lot of new Demon Hunters ask is, what the hell is the point of Smokescreen? And the answer, if you've played later on as a Demon Hunter, is, what is not the point? It's an amazing skill. You get away from a lot of things by using Smokescreen. I spam it a lot because you can't get hit while you're in Smokescreen. A lot of people think it's actually overpowered. I don't, considering, again, we're glass cannons. Demon Hunters are easily killed in many senses. So with Smokescreen, and I use Special Recipe. There's another one that makes it last longer, but I like Special Recipe because it costs less to actually cast. And like I said, I spam it. You don't get hit. You can get away. All your aggro is gone, so no one is running after you now for a little bit. So you get a little bit of time to heal up or do whatever you would need to do. And again, it just helps you survive, and it helps so much, especially if you're playing with another character, like a friend or something. This smokescreen will allow them, like if they're a barbarian, to tank for you because they start running for you. Hit this. Oh, okay. They'll start turning around and attacking him. He should be able to handle it, but this will give you enough time to get away. And again, with the bola shot and everything and the kiting strategy, this is necessary. It helps so much. Again, you can't get hit. You can break free from getting frozen or trapped or even feared. You could hit this and you're no longer feared. So it's very important, and this is pretty much, I think, my only discipline skill I actually use because it's just, I spam the hell out of it, and I try not to take any damage during an attack. Next skill that I spam a lot is the spike trap, and normally this is my first thing I send out because of the critical hit damage, is the spike trap. Especially with scatter, you place all 3 traps at once. You can just kill an entire crowd really quickly with these things. And it does 275% of the weapon damage within 8 yards. It's huge. Especially if it crits, that's crazy damage. And literally, I just spam this so much. It kind of sucks for the creatures that can teleport, the champions that can teleport. However, you could just surround yourself with these as well, and then use, vanish and run away, and guess what? You're good to go because they run right into it and they explode and it does a lot of damage. Definitely use this a lot. It only costs 30 hatred. You place all 3 traps at once if you have the scatter ability, but there's other other things you can put on there. But this is so far my favorite. This is my number 2, and I swear I think my number 2 is actually coming off my keyboard right now because I just hit it so much. It's a great thing to have. This next one is kind of like the free slot. You can do whatever you want. This is what I use. I just use Rain of Vengeance, Beastly Bombs, because if they somehow get through my traps and they're getting close, I spam this. It costs me nothing. The cooldown is 30 seconds, which kind of sucks, but this is literally, you can put anything you want here. You can put a sentry if you want, if you've got the one with the shield or something like that. But that comes, I think, you're level 60, you would get that. But this is kind of the free one. This is completely your choice. So I'm not even going to really dwell on this, but this is what I use in case you want to know my exact build. And here is my last active skill, and it's probably the most important to surviving. Preparation with battle scars. Now there's some other ones with preparation that some people use. I don't see the point. I really didn't see the point to using it before battle scars. And once I had battle scars, I've never not used it. That really was a weird sentence, but it still works. 60% of your life with one click is huge later on, because there's sometimes it happens where you miss, vanishing, and guess what? You're screwed. You get almost one-hitted. Click another button, click preparation. You're back to surviving. You also have, you could heal with like one of your health potions or whatever the hell they're called, and you're good to go. So it's like an additional health potion every 45 seconds. Plus, you also get all your discipline back. So let's say you were spamming vanishing or whatever. I call it vanish. It's something else, but let's say you're disappearing, vanishing, and you run out of discipline, and then you get hit once. Okay, you're screwed because you're almost dead. You hit preparation. Now you're not only do you have you have 60% of your life back. You also have all your discipline back. So now you can spam some more and vanish some more and miss hits and still survive. And hopefully you can survive for another 45 seconds with using some kind of potion or something, or just running away, and you can use it again. It's a great thing to have, and again, this is one of of my build, the number 2 thing that I would not debate. Like, no one could ever go to me and go, preparation with battle scars sucks. Sorry, I don't agree with you, because it saves me so many times from dying, so I always have it included. So that's it. That's my Demon Hunter skill set that I use, and it has been working for me for about, like I said, about the last week or so, surviving in the higher difficulties, and I haven't been having that many issues with it, especially even playing by yourself, which unfortunately in Diablo 3 is very boring. I don't recommend it. I only played a little bit by myself and worked great. but it works really well when you're playing with your friends and getting out there and killing things. So again, leave a comments if you don't agree with something, or even if you agree. Try it out, or just try parts of it out. Tell me what you think of the actual build. Maybe you have suggestions that I can look into. But anyways, thanks for watching. This is Slammerama from GamingDrunk.com.